is Techstrong TV.
Hi everybody, Mitch Ashley here at Atlassian Team 24. We're talking with a combination of people from Atlassian, from the community, people who are advocates that help the community and work with them. We get great pleasure talking with a gentleman who's working kind of on the education training using the products, which is always great to talk to someone in that area because, that's where the rubber meets the road. So let's talk with Robert Hean. Welcome, Rob. It's good to be chatting with you.
Mitch, thank you. I really appreciate the opportunity to connect about this and share a bit about, what I see happening and what I do.
Absolutely. Well, tell folks what you do.
So I'm an Atlassian instructor is what I've been calling myself. I have some online learning courses on topics ranging from like HR data analytics, but also how to think through setting up a knowledge base. So not just getting the tool, Confluence, but also the processes and getting buy-in and champions around that. And I've also been working with the Atlassian creators to do online live training for Confluence. So whether it's how the basics, I'm an average user or a space admin or how the templates work, and then creating content online to help folks understand how the system works, and not just Confluence, but also Jira or other Atlassian tools. But really to help them, to your point, understand where the rubber meets the road. Where does my job interface with this tool, and how do I use these things?
Mm-hmm. And you have a background, like within doing this, you're very active in Udemy and been doing online stuff for quite a while, I'm guessing.
Yeah, my first job, I was an implementation manager, and then quickly to join the learning and development team. And so I got to learn from that group, how do you think through a learning process and structure? Mm-hmm. And then, building the Udemy courses, I learned with the Udemy team, how do I structure an online only course? Mm-hmm. And so what's the framework I can use to slot in all this information so someone can understand how to use Confluence better or Jira or HR data?
Yep. And the way you're delivering content now and training is through like a YouTube online interactive experience, or how does it work?
Great question. I've got kind of three different ways right now. One is the Udemy platform.
Okay.
Which is you would go to Udemy, you'd watch the video, and there's some interactivity. You'll get messages from me that are automated, but also there's assignments. So you might write a product update that I could give feedback on. That's one pillar. Another is the online learning. So a YouTube live session. And this would be, I can see you chatting and we're interacting that way. But I'm still talking, explaining it. And the third way is just a recorded, what we think of as a YouTube video. You want to get my top 10 tips for Confluence. It's just all recorded and edited down.
Well, we talk about immediate feedback with all those bubbles coming up with, hearts and smileys or frowns or, I had an experience like that, not online, but in person where someone's like doodling. I'm like, this is not going so good. I better help change my approach here. But
well, it's interesting online because I added a slide to them all saying, this isn't just one way. Because most people come to this just thinking, we're going to hear Rob talk about it.
I say, listen.
Yeah, I say, no. I'll talk about a concept and then give me a 1 to a 5. Just in the chat, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5, you know it. 1, you don't. And that helps guide me. That gives me a bit of feedback to adjust and tailor the training.
You get it in real time. That's great.
Yeah.
Instead of at the end of the class, you lost me at module 1, and could we go back there?
Exactly. Yeah, that real-time feedback is critical.
So let's talk about, obviously, Confluence, Jira, the whole product line, suite of products is continually changing, right? I mean, a lot of changing happening.
Yes.
I mean, I think about when I was using Confluence and Jira and, 15 years ago, it was a very different experience today than compared to that. But in this online SaaS world, too, also, we're kind of used to things changing while we're using it. How do you train or how do you educate people, equip people to not only use, here's how you use the tool, here's what you can do, but you want to be familiar enough that they can pick up with, hey, there's a new button. What do I do with that, right?
I really like that call out. Recently, Confluence changed how the sidebar works. So before, when you were editing a page, it was just editing the page. But now the sidebar still sticks around. And I joke with folks, like, because it's SaaS, Atlassian or whoever deploys the change, and unless you're paying very close attention, which most people don't, you're surprised, like, what is this? So part of training is it's point in time, to be honest. If you sit through one of my videos from even 4 months ago, there's been drift, I call it. It's already almost out of date.
Yeah.
So one interesting aspect for myself is that gives me evergreen content in a sense, where I should evaluate how much change has occurred. And in my judgment or in my talking to folks, has enough change happened to necessitate re-recording or having a new thing? So that's part of it, to make sure my library is up to date. Another aspect is when I'm training, encouraging folks to be comfortable exploring a system. I've worked with many people who are nervous or afraid or don't want to, push that button, what will happen?
Well, I don't want to do something bad, right, if I don't know what it does.
Exactly. And I tell folks, if it clearly says delete, maybe don't push that button.
Delete all, especially.
Yeah, the purge all, drop tables, if you know what that means.
Reformat.
But barring those things, I encourage folks, go explore. And, Confluence is great, Jira is great. You can get your own demo instance. And even in there, delete stuff. But in your company's instance, go and play around. Make a page, see what happens, see how it changes. And that helps kind of inoculate people from that drift. If they can become comfortable with, okay, I kind of know where the buttons are. Oh, there's a new one. Let me push it and just see. And then kind of empowering them to train themselves as they go. And then bring their questions back, talk to other people. But not to be afraid of these changes that will just kind of pop up out of nowhere.
Maybe show them age, but I used to help folks say, go to your personal workspace, play around there. That's your sandbox. You can always, here's my profile and my this, and play with it there. Then nobody else is going to see it unless you want them to.
I have many environments I work in have the personal space in Confluence. And I tell folks, if you have one, you can do anything you want to know. It's yours. And if you really, really make a mistake, talk to IT or someone, but you can't hurt the system. And if you do, you found a bug, and that's great to go report and share. But, be comfortable just experimenting and playing.
You talked about learning or helping people understand the idea of discovery, right? Not just A does this and B does that, but you see something, how to go find it, go play with it, go try it out. How do you then kind of also take it to the next level of, here's the mechanics of doing a task, here's how you create a page, and here's what you can do in it, etc. But then how do you apply it into a work setting? How do you help people make that connection? Because sometimes that's not obvious. It's great when it is, but it isn't always the case.
Yeah, I use Atlassian University a lot as this example because Atlassian University's content, which is now widely available and free, which is amazing.
Yeah, they announced it at the show
just today, which I'm definitely going to go in there and just see what they have. But that content kind of by necessity has to be fairly middle of the road and very broad. Yeah. And so a lot of my trainings, and I work with the Atlassian creators team, is like, how is it different from that? Because the Atlassian University stuff is very good. And what I'm able to bring either with talking to folks or personal experience is like, how can it be used? And again, creating a page is a very standard process. You click the button, you add your content, and that's very mechanical and rote. But if I can tell a story about, I'm on the human resources or the people team, and I have a brand new policy I need to create, then people can start to dig in and get it more. Or if I have the luxury of enough feedback, someone in the audience give me an example you're stuck on. I've taught you how to make a page. Mm-hmm. What have you tried to, we're stuck because we don't know how a template works or what this feature does or how to show someone else to do it. Then it becomes more real. It's no longer the sterile, the middle of the road training. It's a real thing that, I do this, I can resonate with it.
It's kind of like the old word problems, right? Joe's traveling down the highway at 50 miles an hour. Okay, now how do you solve this problem?
I'm gonna have to use that one. Two trains leave the station.
It's that classic memorabilia. It still pops up every once in a while. There's another part to this too, is also, and this may be more the advanced kind of things. I was thinking about how do you change how you work, right? Yeah. Now that you've got these capabilities, you could automate what you did or currently are doing. There's also, maybe I don't have to do that part. I can do it this way now. That sort of creativity part of how you use productivity tools. How do you instill that, like the discovery? A much harder thing, I'm sure.
I wouldn't say harder, just different.
Just different.
It's trying to figure out what is the underlying concept behind it. Like Simon Sinek has start with why. Like, why am I doing this thing manually? Well, because I don't know a better way. Hey, Mitch, do you know a better way? Hey, Atlassian community, do you know a better way? Now, the immediate story that just came to mind is I worked at a company that we used Lucidchart for diagramming. It's great, a wonderful tool. And then we were told you can't use that anymore. Oh. Like, nuts.
What do I do now? I can't do my job.
Yeah, my systems maps are all gone. My process maps. Well, hang on, Confluence has whiteboards, which I had not been using because I had a separate thing. So I was kind of forced to use this new thing and explore it and understand it. So one way, like for me, I've had this happen is I've been forced into it. And I know many other folks in different companies around the world you have to now use blank. And that's one way to instill it. Another, though, like I just mentioned, is just questioning why. there's an apocryphal story of a woman cooking a Christmas ham. And they always cut the small end off and put it in a different pan. And her daughter goes, Mom, why are you doing that? Well, great-grandma did it. Great-grandma, why did you do it? Well, our oven was too small. We could only fit half of it. And so challenging why we're doing something the way we're doing it, whether it's every 6 months, every year, every day, is how I find a lot of these differences. Because like with automations, I honestly don't use them very much, but that's because I haven't sat down and said, wait, what can I automate? Why am I doing these manual things when I know there's all this great stuff that can automate it?
Yeah. You know, it's interesting. We live in a world of constraints, but they're always changing, right? The oven size gets bigger. Oh, I can do that more than one way when there's a new tool available. I'm wondering if I haven't had a chance to play with Revo myself, but it sounds like some of those AI capabilities might help us say, by the way, Rob has figured out a way to do what you're doing, and you can go right here and pick up his automation and try it out for yourself. Maybe kind of surfacing those sort of the bigger institution, other people, right? The graph of teams, teamwork, other people doing similar kind of work. Let's share, let's collaborate without me having to go search it out or somebody dictating you do it a new way.
That's interesting because in the past, you know, I've had the luxury of just wandering around or slacking people, hey, how do you handle this? But with something like Rovo coming in and it sees all.
That's right, Rovo. I had the name wrong.
Yeah, I think it's ROVO.
Yes, you are.
I only remember that because it was in 27-foot letters. But now that there's this tool that at least is scoped to everything we do, you know, will it be able to serve up? Or, you know, kind of I joke about Clippy. You know, I'm trying to do something manually. Rovo pops up. Hey, did you know that Mitch has this automation that does it? So I'll be very curious as that tool develops and as people start to use it more. Because again, right now it's like, well, I do it manually because I need to, and Rovo exists in the corner. As folks engage with it and really kind of pressure test and see what it can do, how those other use cases will fall out that we can't even consider today. Whether it's teeing up an automation, maybe I could see a world where it just starts doing the automation. And then maybe if I notice, it goes, oh, here's what I've done.
By the way, I did this for you last night, and there's how it worked, and tell me if you want to keep doing it, right?
Yeah, I could see a Jira service agent logging in and Rovo just saying, here, you know, I've teed up 15 messages for the top priority tickets for you. Please review so I can send them. And that eliminates a lot of the, how do I write this response? What do I have to look up? And it's, you know, to the points we heard in the keynote, it's not that Rob as the agent, you aren't needed. It's Rob as the agent, we're going to, you know, lift you up a bit. And it's going to tee up work and free you to do the things that are hard and challenging that the computer can do, because that's why computers are here.
I'm sure something you get to deal with is sort of the fear factor around AI, right? Because everything from all of our jobs are going away to you aren't going to do what you're doing today, you'll be doing some other job. And some of us are comfortable with that idea, and some of us, that's like, you know, you just upset my whole world, right? I just had figured it out. How do you deal with that sort of apprehension with AI? Or are you encountering that at all when people, as you introduce, you know, Atlassian and others introduce AI?
A great question. The story that always comes to mind with any technical shift. I worked in a shipyard, and we had guys there who've been doing steel work for 40 years. And they order steel, they know how to cut it. And I had to go to one of these people and say, I'm sorry, Johnny, you can't use a paper form to requisition steel. You have to use a computer. And I have never seen terror in another human soul except them.
That just shows my lack of skill or knowledge, or I just don't want to be embarrassed, or whatever. Okay?
And I feel like this shift to AI, people are feeling that to degrees. So part of this, I feel, will just be becoming comfortable with the tool. And, you know, I've worked in environments where they just kind of shove an update out and they walk away, and there has been no introduction to it. So I could see in environments where AI has been turned on and you're an agent, those agents being, you know, apprehensive.
What's it doing?
Yeah. So I think a lot of this will be around how do we tee it up? What do we do around we have Rovo? How do we prepare our teams? What is the change management? That would be my word for it. How do we introduce it to them? How do we get a small group of folks who are interested in it? Because some percentage of people, yes, AI. How can we get them using it and then point at them and say, look, the agency used it, you know, were able to answer 15 more tickets and got a better score. We're going to start expanding it.
Yeah.
So it's addressing it in a way that people aren't, you know, scared or intimidated by it. But if we just shove it in their face and say, no, this is what's happening, that I feel like is where we're going to see a lot
of force you have to use it. It seems like another possible reaction is in the IT world, it's like my system's you're not working correctly. Well, what did you change? I didn't change anything. So you kind of, when you don't know if what's changed, then you start to question the whole system, right? Some unexpected behavior. And it seems like that human-machine connection is even more important when it's doing things for you. So when it's going to do something for me, I will always know, or I'll always get a chance to pre-approve it and review it, or sort of setting up that agreement, that trust, to build that trust with
I saw that today when they were demonstrating one of Rovo's capabilities to summarize content, and it would show its receipts, so to speak. I found these quotes about this thing on these pages. So it didn't just give you an answer, the Project Blueberry, whatever their sample was. It said, I found Project Blueberry, these bullet points, and here's where I found it. And so to your point, it's not just the AI told me, so I should trust it. No, the AI is helping me and showing me where to go find it if I want to verify. So I think you're right, Mitch. That ability for a human to trust it and to verify it will be very important to adoption.
Do you see how we learn, the work that you do? How do you see that evolving in the world of AI and all the technology that, every day is different?
That's going to be very interesting. The Udemy platform has a few AI things, mostly in the short term related to around how do you answer question and answers. But in terms of me considering content, that could be incredibly helpful, because I could say, say I have a Rovo, what challenges are people having, or what have you noticed people asking about? And then it could spit out a list or summarize or show me and kind of guide me. Because right now I kind of have to guess, what does my YouTube channel want to learn? Or what should I do live training? And I think these are good things. But if I can get that passively collecting, what is it? That would be interesting. From the learner's perspective, I think discovery will be a big one. And we're starting to see this in YouTube a bit, where if you type something in, its AI can find the point in the video where that thing is spoken about.
Yep.
And for me as a learner, that would be huge, because I don't want to listen to a 15-minute video of Rob talking if the answer is 4 minutes in and only 10 seconds.
I need the intro. I need the answer to how do I do this, right?
Another area I could see being very helpful, we saw this a little bit with Rovo and Confluence, what has changed? So if I make a Confluence training on May 1st this year, in 6 months, I might ask a system, give me a list of all of the changes that impacted Confluence since May 1st and show me where they are. And then it doesn't have to make the training for me, but I can go in and evaluate which ones of these are valuable for someone to learn. And to help, again, discover and uncover the things that if I had 50 people working for me, maybe I'd get lucky and we'd find them all. But instead, the system just knows the change happened. So keep update, tell me that. And then flip that around for users as well.
Right. Yeah, it seems also, too, an opportunity to think about Loom and that being part of Atlassian now is someday, one of the things that pops up is, by the way, there's a great video with Rob showing you at 36 seconds in how to do this if you're interested. So kind of build it into the tools we're working in, as well as getting special.
Yeah, sorry, the expression you just saw was, I've used Loom quite a bit at different places, and it's great for recording bugs and things. And the thought I just had was, if I record a bug, what if Loom is smart enough to go, hey, these Jira tickets are already addressing it? Or, hey, Rob's video solves for this. Or, anything like that.
It's got that data. It's got that context. You're talking about, SB whatever, the vulnerability and the security that needs to be fixed. Well, here, Rob has the video that might match that.
And there you go. I think that could be very interesting to see, especially between groups. So within one company having that would be awesome. But if there's some way to share that, again, a critical vulnerability, a system-wide thing that impacts everyone.
There's your next business model.
Yeah.
So, buy Atlassian, subscribe corporately to Rob's, knowledge.
You heard it here
channel.
first.
Knowledge channel. So, great. Well, who knows? That could be a future that happens with us. Well, it's been great talking with you, and
really,
I'm sure there are a lot of people that really appreciate the work that you do, and thank God I didn't have to figure that out on my own, but now I can. I've got some new skills as well as knowing the product.
I've actually met some folks here who have been on those live trainings, and it's amazing. Hey, I've been to 2 or 3 of them, and I'm like, who wants to listen to me multiple times?
You've already heard me enough, haven't you? You really want to talk to me? Yeah, they do. There's a personal connection.
No, that's been amazing.
Right.
So
and then they can say, wow, you're really tall. But I didn't know you were tall from your...
My camera at home looks down a bit, so
okay.
Wait a minute.
Yeah. All right, Rob, great chatting with you. Hey, someone who's making everybody's life better and using the technology as part of our work and part of our life. So thanks to Rob and and others who do the same. So we'll be back with more great conversations. Thanks for being here. Stay tuned.